Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
How do?
This week, we'll be discussing the science fiction, adventure, comedy. I don't know what it is.
Comedy's a stretch.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, starring Peter Weller, Ellen Barkin, Christopher Lloyd, John Lithgow. It's an all-star cast. You can go to our page on Facebook at the podcast.
Did you say
that
Jeff
die.
Goldblum?
I said Jeff Goldblum. John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum. I don't know. One of them's there.
They all look like infants, don't they?
They all look like freaks. Anyway, go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Go and subscribe and like and share. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review and spread the word, won't you?
And don't just like us on Facebook. You actually have to go to the podcast site and subscribe.
Well, yeah.
We're not here to make Zuckerberg happy.
That is true. No. You get, basically, here's the way it works. If you want to listen to the podcast, you need to subscribe on one of these sites, basically.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase that. If you want the announcements on your device, hey, a new episode is dropped. You'll get that when you subscribe.
And you need that.
You absolutely need that. If you want all of our madcap tomfoolery, then you should follow us on Twitter and Facebook just for our crazy posts, our reflections on things, strange observations.
I'm retiring from Facebook. I want to retire with these people subscribing. So if you're going to just go to Facebook, you should send us a check. It takes time for Kevin to post bull crap he finds on the internet.
How dare you? How dare... I mean, granted, if you feel you want to send me a check, I will not, I won't stop
Amazon gift cards, Costco gift cards, Target gift cards, Nordstrom gift cards, all accepted.
Precious gems, bullion, whatever you want to do. Krugerrands.
True Blood, whatever.
Exactly. Aaron, why don't you give us the 5-second description of the plot for Buckaroo Banzai?
Oh, my God.
Good luck.
Oh, my God. So, RoboCop dude with black hair is like a brain surgeon, a scientist, and a rock star. And, so he wanted to recreate some crazy test that this Italian John Lithgow did, where he crossed over into, another dimension. There's this dimension that aliens are living alongside us, and I don't know what the hell is going on. But at some point, he meets Ellen Barkin, who's the twin of his dead wife.
Yep.
And in the end, he saves the day. The end. I was so bored. I really can't. I literally have half a page of notes, and it's mostly was Jeff Goldblum one of the rapists in Death Wish?
And the answer to that question is
yes,
he was.
Yes, he was. It's a wonder he ever worked again. That movie was so disturbing.
Buckaroo Banzai?
Yeah, that too. Anyway, hey, before we deep dive, will you actually give the details that I literally, my eyes were rolling in the back of my head? I'm sure this was a very important movie in your youth.
Very important.
Perfect Tommy, he was in love with Buckaroo, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Every scene, he's always watching him, following him. What are you doing? I think Perfect Tommy wanted to crawl inside his perfect tidy whities. I don't know.
Sweet Lord. We don't judge. Okay? Whatever Perfect Tommy's into,
I'm not
we're fine
saying
with
good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying this is a fact.
I can't comment on the proclivities of any of the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Well, can you comment on RoboCop with black hair? It looked kind of hot.
That I cannot comment on either.
He looked pretty good with black hair.
Do you know why he has black hair in this movie?
Because his evil is leaching out of his head?
No, because he's supposed to be half Japanese.
Oh Lord. So
He's
that's the deal?
his
People with
name's
black hair.
Banzai.
I thought that makes no damn sense whatsoever, Kevin.
What?
Let's be clear with that. Just because you're with a bunch of Japanese people and you have black hair, that does not make you Japanese.
His father's Japanese.
No, he's not.
Yes, he was.
I've seen
not
people
the actor.
with.
Not the actor. The character.
I'm talking about some form of reality. Maybe 9 generations ago in his family, someone once slept with a Japanese person. Maybe. Let's get out the ancestry DNA. But there's no way in hell that your father's Japanese and all you got was black hair.
Okay,
no.
Look. This is obviously.
There is no suspension of disbelief here.
That's
Boom.
fine. This is called Hollywood whitewashing. Okay, in the 70s, in the 70s, you had one of the Carradine boys in Kung Fu.
Yes.
So basically, this is that same kind of thing. Obviously, he's not Asian in real life, to any degree, but that was the idea. The reason why his real name is Buckaroo Banzai. His father was Japanese, his mother was American. And they named him Buckaroo because the father, the Japanese
was a
father,
cowboy. No, he was a Japanese cowboy.
He appreciated kind of the Old West mystique of his adopted country. See,
let me tell you, this is totally whitewashing. And let me tell you, did you see Crazy Rich Asians?
I did.
All the male romantic leads were biracial, where all the funky dudes were just straight Chinese. It's totally racist.
Is that true? They're
Yeah.
biracial? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it. Well, the whitewashing. That didn't apply to the women, though. I mean, some of them I'm sure are. But it was very clear to me that the romantic lead was biracial.
I'm not sure. Well, whatever. This is not the Crazy Rich Asian podcast. By the way,
This is the Crazy Rich Asian Hollywood whitewash podcast.
No question.
I don't have proof on anything that I'm saying, but I'm sure it's 100% true, and Trump can back me up.
It's entirely possible. Okay, I gotta jump in. I like this movie. This movie makes me feel happy. When it first started,
I know it does. You first saw it when you were 7 on the movie channel, and you took it to your heart. I'm sure
it is so bizarre because it's kind of like you're jumping in the middle of a story. Like this is like the 3rd or 4th movie of a series, where we are already supposed to know who all the characters are and how their relationships connect together. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're paying attention, there are random and bizarre like images just in the background. At one
it's
point,
like an old serial.
Yes.
Like when we used to go to the Camelot Theater during the summertime, they'd show on the old serials.
Well, they basically said on some level they were emulating like the old Doc Savage.
I remember Doc Savage.
Those books from like the 30s, where it's like, here's the super heroic character with his wacky gang that he goes on adventures with, essentially.
So who was the target audience for this? Our parents?
Me, essentially.
But you would be down with Doc Tari from the 30s.
I would, actually, shockingly enough. But that's the thing. But the characters, Buckaroo Banzai, like you said, he's a brain surgeon, he's a particle physicist, he's an adventurer, a crime fighter, and a rock star. He does it all. He's a martial artist, he's a samurai. But it's like literally this group that he gets together with, the Hong Kong Cavaliers is the name of his music group. But
Not a terrible name.
But they are all scientists as well. They're not just, I play a little rhythm guitar, but I'm also a geneticist.
Oh.
It's that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like at the beginning of the movie, they establish he's doing this experiment with this souped up, Ford truck, where it's going to drive through solid matter. But on the way to doing this experiment, he's doing brain surgery on an Inuit child to what was it? If they were like installing some technology in his brain that would allow him to communicate to his severed limb or something.
I was already rolling one eye back in my head.
That is nonsense. You're out of your GD mind. If you're paying close attention, there's a picture that Buckaroo hangs up inside the jet car for his experiment of presumably his mother holding young Buckaroo as a baby. Do you know who the woman in the picture is?
Is it the chick from the Terminator?
No, it is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Is it Nancy Kwan?
It's not. No, Jamie Lee Curtis. And there's actually a deleted scene that takes place back in the 60s where Jamie Lee Curtis plays Buckaroo Banzai's mother. So there you go.
I'm pretty sure in the 60s, Peter Weller would have been like 16.
Well, I think he was meant to be like 8 or something. And he was a child. He wasn't like in her womb or something in the 60s.
It was a picture of him crowning. That's what it was.
That's correct. Of her uterus. Anyway, so did you notice now Dr. Hakita, who is Banzai's mentor, I guess, scientist mentor? Did you recognize that actor?
Is he a man from the high castle?
No. Are you just throwing random things out?
I was watching Man from the High Castle before you called in.
Oh, good times. He was. I don't know the actor's name. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. He was on Quincy with Jack Klugman. He was Quincy's buddy on.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I used to love me some Quincy back in the day.
Yes.
Stay homesick, watch afternoon TV with Quincy.
Good Lord. And then, of course, we discover that
Quincy is where I learned about Tourette's syndrome. I'm still fascinated by it today.
I'm learning about it right now, I think. Anywho, so back in the 30s, Dr. Hakita was trying to do this experiment with his partner, Dr. Emilio Lizardo.
Yes.
John Lithgow with a crazy wig and a horrible Italian accent. Like like an offensive Italian accent.
Oh my Lord! And crazy hair. He looked like one of the Mario or Luigi.
Yeah, it is Super Mario Brothers. It was a failed experiment, but he got like half his body into the wall, kind of through a solid thing, and that's when they realized there were creatures in this other dimension. Essentially, if you try to walk through solid matter, it's like a doorway to the 8th dimension where these aliens are living, essentially.
And they look like mole men.
They do. They have no noses. They're kind of reptilian things with big black eyes, no nose. And I guess he gets possessed.
They get inside his brain or something like that.
Right. So he still is John Lithgow with his crazy Italian accent, but he's also the leader of the Red Lectroids, which are an evil alien group. And his hair color
changes. Yes, he no longer has black hair once you cross to the 8th dimension. Your hair color changes.
That's
besides
part
being
of it.
Insane. Yes,
that's just good science. That's how it works. So, good Lord. So Buckaroo does brain surgery. He completes this science experiment, and then he immediately plays a music gig in New Jersey at some kind of crazy nightclub.
Oh, and let's talk about the music.
Yes.
It was so horrible. It was the Blues Brothers meets synth. And it was so freaking terrible. I think I know why what's-her-name was crying. It's because she had to go to that concert. It aged her terribly, and she had to move to the Big Easy after that.
You're telling me. I mean, essentially, he's supposed to be like the biggest star in the world, right? And he's playing at Zelda's on a Tuesday, essentially.
Zelda's on a Tuesday, and what we're learning here is obviously they had such a tight budget for this crap trap that they didn't want to actually pay for real music or anything we could have possibly have heard. So it was like a couple of guys kicking together some nonsense.
There was one homie up there playing 2 saxophones at once at one point. That's lovely.
And then Peter Weller had some like tiny child's horn he was tooting.
Well, he came out, he's playing the guitar, and then he pulls a crazy like pocket trumpet out. It's like, what is this? It's like some kind of weird jazz synth moog music. I don't know what it was. It was a freak show.
It was literally Blues Brothers on synthesizer. And I'm standing by that comment, but it is so terrible because the music does not match their new wave outfits.
Right.
At all.
Yeah, they were dressed like new romantics.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Perfect Tommy was rocking that white, super angular jacket.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not here complaining about their wardrobe, just everything else.
It was basically Duran Duran. Is the
oh my God!
If
only some dude ran in with an open shirt with his British bare chest and a headband, it would have full been Duran Duran.
Oh, good times.
If they played Blues Brothers pop synth.
And about this time, we meet 3 of Buckaroo's buddies, 3 of his team members. You've got Perfect Tommy with the crazy bleached blonde hair. And did you notice that like half the time his jacket perfectly matches like the shirt that he's wearing underneath?
I thought
the
that
exact
was
same pattern.
Perfect Tommy was perfect every time. He was the king of the 80s. I loved everything that Perfect Tommy wore. He was perfect.
He was perfect because you're perfect.
Because you're perfect. He was more perfect than fake Japanese Banzai.
That's sad but true. Then you got his other buddy Reno, who wears kind of black.
Mike Reno? Is it Mike Reno?
If only. He wears like black clothes, but he wears like 2 belts at the same time for some bizarre reasons.
No, that was a thing. That's a fashion choice, friend.
It's very strange.
You were just a pup. The 80s were my time, baby.
So you should be right in your element for this one. The third guy you meet is evidently Buckaroo's second in command, who's just called Rawhide, who is often dressed as kind of a cowboy character. But did you recognize the actor who played Rawhide?
Oh, wait a minute. Is this Clancy Brown?
Clancy Brown from
every fucking thing.
Okay. Specifically from this era? Can you give me...
Oh, God. He was the bad guy in every movie in the 80s. And no, I can't give you a specific.
He was the bad guy in the original Highlander, is what I was looking for.
Oh, I love
he was the
Highlander.
The Kirkin or the Gherkin or something in the Highlander.
He was the Gherkin. I thought that's a little pickle.
Something like that. That's his character. So they're up there playing.
But this is like the only role that I know where he's just not like the evil dick.
Where he's just kind of a normal dude. He's a good guy, but yeah.
And freeze. So I literally was reading his IMDb thing. I clearly forgot all about Highlander. And they were talking about his freakish height and why he was limited with his acting. And then I looked, his height is 6'3".
Yeah, he's not. But that's the thing. In Hollywood, all the dudes are 5'6".
Hollywood shunned me. This is why I could never be a famous actress.
That's correct.
They're racist against those tall people.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what did it.
That was the last straw. But here's something else. So the band, essentially, it was a real band and then they threw Rawhide and Perfect Tommy and Reno in there.
Oh, Lord.
The real band was called Billy Vera and the Beaters.
No, don't know.
You don't know who Billy Vera and the Beaters are? They had
the song. What was their song?
They had one song, and it was usually played on a very special episode of Family Ties. When Alex P. Keaton was breaking up with his girlfriend. What would you do at this moment? Oh, damn. Now I can't remember the rest of the song.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Oh, damn.
I knew more of Eyes Without a Face than that. I was gearing up for something.
Oh,
Frick,
man.
I don't know.
I have to come back to it. Sweet. I can't. It's. Go watch very special episodes of Family Ties with Alex P. Keaton. It's called At This Moment by Billy Vera and the Beaters.
I think this is becoming a very special episode.
You're telling me. All right, give me a minute. I'll look for it later. Uh, Anywho, so they stop. The band has to stop. Buckaroo stops the music because he hears somebody crying in the audience.
Oh,
And there's Ellen Barkin sitting by herself with makeup streaming down her face. She's crying, dressed like she's a flapper from the 20s or something.
Yeah. I don't remember that being a big fashion choice in the 80s.
That's why she's so upset. We don't know why she's upset. She's just
we
upset
know because she had to listen to this crappy music. Make it stop.
Buckaroo starts singing a song to her. And I had to ask, good singer or not so good a singer for a rock star?
You know what it is? It's, like when you want to go into acting, you got to do dance and you have to learn singing along with the acting.
Yep.
It's the dude who is going to be the actor, not the dude that was going to be the singer.
He's not musical theater.
He can kind of carry it along. It's like when David Soul all of a sudden decided he was a singer. He could carry a tune.
Poor David Soul. Don't drag him down into this.
Don't give up on us, baby.
Poor David Soul sitting somewhere right now going, why are you picking on me? What did I do?
I used to love that song, though, with his blonde hair. I'm sure he looks like a grizzled walnut now.
He was no Rex Smith. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, my God. I love Rex Smith so much.
Anyway, nobody under 50 knows what I'm talking about. So moving right along.
This is a very special over 50 podcast.
You're telling me. So Penny decides to kill her, tries to shoot herself in the middle of the nightclub. In a funny moment, all the dudes on stage at the gunshot pull out like Uzis. They drop their pocket trumpets and pull out handguns, all of them. Because they're not just rock stars, they're also crime fighters, evidently.
They're paid assassins, they're Ukraine, I don't know.
So John Lithgow, Dr. Emilio Lizardo, is in an insane asylum. And still talking with a crazy, offensive Italian accent.
Yes.
And did you recognize the orderly or the guard at the insane asylum?
I did not.
That was Jonathan Banks, who recently was on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He was Mike. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah. Who was he?
Mike Ehrmantraut.
Oh. Boom. Know exactly who you're talking about. Boom. Love him. Hardest working man in showbiz.
He people forget he was literally in like 100 things in the 80s. 100 he was in Beverly Hills Cop. He was in 48 Hours.
He was Clancy Brown.
Yes, absolutely. So, oh, good Lord. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this thing. What they
just succumb.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Over the course of the movie, I'm not going to go beat by beat, but over the course of the movie, they discover that aliens, these red electroids from the 8th dimension, escaped over to Earth during the 1938 Halloween
World Series.
No, when they were doing the Orson Welles War of the World.
Yeah. I do remember that.
So again, nobody under the age of 70 knows what I'm talking about. Back in 1938, Orson Welles did a kind of radio play of the H.G. Wells classic War of the Worlds. And it caused a bit of a scandal because people thought it was like a real news event. People didn't realize it was a play.
They thought real aliens were landing in New Jersey and they were losing. There was no internet. There was all no fact checking. It was on and people lost their minds.
People were losing their minds. So they worked that into this story, saying that aliens really were landing back then, all those years. And they took over a business, I guess a rocket propulsion labs sort of thing.
Rocketdyne or something.
Yo-Yo-Dyne. Yo-Yo-Dyne Propulsion Systems is the name of it.
It wasn't the Shamrock Novelty Company?
Silver Shamrock.
Silver Shamrock. Yeah, Yo-Yo-Dyne, yes.
Yo-Yo-Dyne. So the thing about these aliens, these red electroids, is they emit some kind of a pheromone or something so that they look human when humans see them. Something along those lines, right?
Right. So I'm guessing if I had a head cold, they would be straight up aliens.
Oh, there's a lot of goofy stuff. Like people are like watching them on the news and they look human, which doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense.
But you also find out there's another group of lectroids, the black lectroids, who have come to Earth because when Buckaroo went through that solid matter, it caused problems because now it's revealing that the electroids can get back to the eighth dimension, or they can get the rest of the electroids out of the eighth dimension. I don't know. Something's going on. The black electroids and the red electroids want to kill each other.
And let's be very clear.
It's
the
hard to do
Earthlings
that.
are apparently all white or Asian. There's the brown thumbprint people. So people of color are evil because the black electroids are in fact black.
Well, but they're good. The black electroids are the good ones. The red electroids are the evil ones. There are no white electroids.
These are my black friends and my brown friends are bad?
Whatever you want to say. I'm not going to read your diary. I don't know what's in your heart.
This just sounds wrong. It sounds insensitive to our friends.
Yeah, so what she's talking about is that the black electroids, when they look human, they all look like Rastafarians from Jamaica.
They are all John Parker, hey!
They have 9-foot-long dreadlocks and speak with a crazy patois as if they're right off the boat from Kingston.
What's patois?
Their language? Like an
that
accent?
Is that it? Where did you get that word?
You can Google it if you'd like. It's called the vocabulary, school teacher.
We don't discuss patois.
Interesting.
I've never heard of that.
It's real. Patois. Patois.
It's French.
There you go. Anywho, so yeah. But here's another bizarre anomaly. All the electroids, black or red, regardless, all have the same first name. John Baca, hey. Yeah. But they also have sometimes normal sounding last names like Parker, or truly bizarre nonsense last names like John Big Boutte.
John Big Boutte, and not unlike Buckaroo Banzai.
Exactly. He's not one to judge. So anyway, John Lithgow sends his aliens from Yoyodyne to go try to steal the oscillation overthruster, which is the device that allowed Buckaroo to pierce solid matter and enter the eighth dimension. Right? Now, here's my question. If Yoyodyne has been doing all this stuff since 1938, why was Dr. Emilio Lizardo in an insane asylum for the last 35 years?
Because the alien got inside of his head and he was like biting people and stuff.
Why did he just go live at Yoyodyne with the rest of the aliens? If the aliens can keep it together, why can't John Lithgow? These are important questions.
There's a brain battle going on. Didn't you see Dr. Sleep? There's more than one person living in there.
We never see the kindly Emilio Lizardo poking his head out saying, "Oh, I'm struggling with this.
I'm fighting it."
You never see that. You never see that good stuff.
Maybe he just freed his inner a-hole.
So the leader of the aliens at Yoyodyne is Christopher Lloyd playing John Big Boutte, which is so bizarre. Why would that be his name? That's such a cheap comedy move. That's all the 10-year-olds will love this one.
That is the target audience.
That's clearly the target audience. And he gets so pissed off because Emilio Lizardo keeps calling him John Big Booty, which
it's Big Boutte.
It's Big Boutte. Anyway, oh God help me. So along the way, Buckaroo invites his brain surgeon buddy Sidney something or other, played by Jeff Goldblum, who's chewing scenery. He shows up with a huge 10-gallon hat and fur-lined chaps and all sorts of crazy stuff. So now he's now a member of the Hong Kong Cavaliers. So he's going to help out as well. Good Lord.
which of course also makes no sense. And let me hold it right here.
Please.
So he was in Death Wish, where he plays the rapist.
Yes.
Who brutalized, and I remember being so traumatized watching it. It's like, not only does he rape the daughter and the mother and spray paint them, he then comes in, to this day, is Mr. Stylish, Mr. On Demand. How did he make that jump?
He's an actor? What are you looking for here?
No, man. There's all kinds of actors in the world. How do you become, from those shady beginnings, become the icon that is, in fact, Jeff Goldblum? Because, quite frankly, he's perfect Tommy right now. Jeff Goldblum, if you ever get on his Instagram account,
I'd rather not.
Perfect. He is perfect Tommy. One of my greatest sadnesses is I was in London and I missed the giant Jeff Goldblum open shirt statue that appeared by the Tower Bridge, and I was a day late.
Who's to say? I can't explain what caused this meteoric rise from Death Wish.
Staying power.
Well, he's had his ups and downs. I
think he must be just delightful. And Jeff,
if you're listening,
you are, give me a call. Let's go. Come on up to Bakersfield. Let's go have some lunch.
You could tell us all about Buckaroo Banzai. Sweet Jesus.
Tell us about your acting choices while making Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah. So, Jesus. It's like, as I try to go through this plot, it is so all over the map. So
that's why I'm just interjecting, because there is no thread to follow.
No. It's like I'm trying to walk a tightrope and Aaron's throwing rocks at me. It's basically what it is. That's what this episode is.
That's just day to day.
It's like I'm trying to hold it together. Anyway, the Black Lectroids shoot like an electrical bolt into Buckaroo Banzai, which now allows him to see the red Lectroids for what they truly are.
He's not affected by alien stench anymore.
No.
And now he can tell immediately. What was that movie? Wasn't there a movie where you put on the glasses? And
absolutely. They live with Roddy Piper.
Rowdy Roddy Piper.
I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I can't believe wrestling's still a thing.
We're doing that. We're doing They Live sometimes. So to prepare yourself.
Hey!
Yeah. So, oh, Lord. Good Lord. Okay, so now he can see, and he's got a chemical formula, which they can produce so that other people can see the evil red Lectroids for what they truly are.
Evil,
pure evil from the 8th dimension. The Black Lectroids send down a crazy video on a seashell or something, and they all had to put on crazy bubble masks to be able to watch the video.
It was made out of bubble wrap. Also made no sense.
This is a big budget Hollywood performance, and then there's a lot of stuff.
It was a cash grab. They call this a cash grab.
Yeah, it's called fraud and embezzlement. It's the way certain things about it look so crappy, like flagrantly crappy. They're just like, what were they doing? Anyway, the leader of the Black Lectroids, John Emdahl, played by somebody we've seen in another movie. Do you know what we saw?
He's been in 1,000 things, but once again, I can't remember.
No, not John Parker. John Emdahl, the hologram, the leader of the Black Lectroids. Do you know what we've seen her in before? I'm only going to give you 2 seconds, and then I'm just going to tell you.
Wait a minute. Is it Toni Morrison?
Yeah, because we did when Stella got her groove back. We're doing that next week. No, it is what's her name? Sylvia from Omega Man. She was the love interest of Charlton Heston in Omega Man. So there you go. Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Don't tell me I'm going to watch this damn movie again. I got to see Sylvia.
There's literally, you could throw a rock, and every actor in this you've seen in something else. It is crazy. Like
now, where did I see John Parker?
John Parker was in L.A. Law. I think the pilot episode of L.A. Law. And more recently, he was on Alias, if you ever watched that show.
All right. Well, then clearly that's not it.
And even more recently, he was on Supergirl. If you watch that show, so there you go. Carl
So he
Lumbly
really
is his name.
literally should be a stranger to me.
He should be a stranger to you. He normally does not speak with a Jamaican accent or have crazy dreadlocks. So if that was the issue, no. Now there's a moment where Jeff Goldblum is trying to fight the Lectroids wandering through Buckaroo Banzai's compound, and there's a room with just like a watermelon. Do you remember this scene? And he literally says, "What's with the watermelon?" And Reno says, "I'll tell you later." And we never find out what the watermelon's about. Why there's a crazy watermelon on a machine of some sort. This is what I love about this movie. There are bizarre things that are referenced.
Honestly, I thought you were going to tell me it was some super racist and sensitive thing.
Okay. Probably. But it's basically like I said, it's like you're jumping in the middle of the story, and they assume you already know all the inside jokes because they're never going to explain it to you. So there you have it. Meanwhile, Christopher Lloyd, John Big Booty, is spitting crazy I don't know what they are. They're like starfish. That hit you and
paralyze
you.
it. Yeah. Poor John Clancy. They're like, yeah, nothing we can do about that. He crushes it. Move on.
Clancy Brown, not John Clancy.
Tom Clancy.
Not American author John Clancy. Clancy Brown. Anywho, Rawhide bites the dust at one point, which was very sad.
Boom.
John Parker, who's the envoy of the Black Lectroids, joins the Buckaroo Banzai people, and good Lord. Penny gets kidnapped, and we discover that Penny is the long-lost twin sister of Buckaroo's dead wife, who was
Did she die from loneliness?
Yes, she was the princess of the Netherlands.
What?
Yeah, they threw that little bizarro tidbit in there as well. She was the princess of the Netherlands. Who wrote this? Some crackhead.
So
basically was throwing disparate elements.
How did this other chick end up getting adopted then?
They don't really get into it except to say that
you can only have one princess of the Netherlands.
I can't explain it. I don't know. She was put up for adoption. It's neither here nor there.
They kept the ugly one, or they kept the pretty one. I don't know. And it was a Sophie's choice.
It was a Sophie's choice, literally. This is peak Ellen Barkin time. By the way, she
looked great.
She looks great, but she is not what you consider a traditional beauty by any stretch of the imagination. But she's
kind of exotic.
She's exotic looking. It's hard to explain. If you haven't seen Ellen Barkin, Google her. She's still running around. She's acting in things.
Yeah. Big Easy, man. That I think between that and Sea of Love.
Sea of Love with Al Pacino, absolutely. Yeah. Good times. So John Big Booty kidnaps her and takes the oscillation overthruster, and they go to Yo-Yo Dine. So Buckaroo gets the gang together, and they decide to attack Yo-Yo Dine. It's
never going to end. It's never ending.
It's never going to end. It's basically, oh God, all of the Lectroids technology either looks like just disgusting crap or like seashells and coral. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, there's like weird water everywhere. There's bizarro slugs.
They spent all the money on the costumes, and there was nothing left over for the sets. Or the story.
If you're listening to this and you've never seen Buckaroo Banzai, you think I'm having a fever dream right now because it is so.
I would call it a night terror.
It is. Of that, there can be no doubt. So Buckaroo goes in there, rescues Penny, defeats John Wharfin. There's a bizarro moment. John Parker and Buckaroo sneak on board a escape pod type thing. When Emilio Lizardo tries to take off with a giant, I don't know, some kind of seashell spaceship thing. He ejects the pod, right? Drops it off, and Buckaroo comes around in the pod and shoots Emilio with a laser that's in the pod and blows up the Emilio Lizardo's spaceship. It was very bizarre. If if the escape pod has the ability to destroy you, then maybe don't dump the escape pod. That's my little piece of advice. I don't know.
It's like every horror movie. Like, why do you drop the knife after you stab the dude?
You just don't do it.
Don't
You do not do it. Oh God. So there's an actor named Ronald Lacey who plays the President of the United States, who has Buckaroo Banzai on speed dial. And I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and the president wasn't even remotely familiar to me. I'm like, who's this guy? I've never seen him before.
He looked very familiar to me.
Do you know who he was? I finally, because his name was familiar to me. He was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was the evil, I don't even know what the character's name is. The evil Nazi dude who picks up the medallion and his hand gets all burnt.
Shut your mouth!
Yeah. That's
unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable because he's got a weird handlebar mustache. He's got a weird hairstyle. And to add insult to injury, they dubbed him with an American voice.
What?
Yeah.
Why do you hire people and then dub them?
I have no idea. Not to mention...
Thank you, Bohemian Rhapsody.
There you go. Not to mention that his Russian national security advisor was none other than famous comedian Yakov Smirnoff. So there you go.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's so funny.
Where is
Yakov Smirnoff? Is he still in, what's that hillbilly Vegas they have out there?
Yeah, he's in Branson. You better believe it. You better believe it.
Those darn Ruskies.
Oh, my God. This movie is so bizarre. At one point, Buckaroo's being chased by the evil eye.
It's not bizarre in a good way.
No, I love it. But I totally understand the idea that somebody who's not me would sit down and watch this and be like, what is this craziness? Because it is so bizarre. I think
it's something, there's just certain movies you have to watch when they come out. And then
what? It was a huge flop at the box office. So I don't know.
Not for you, apparently. You're like unscrambling, trying to get free HBO as a child just so you can watch it again.
No, I never saw this in the theater. I didn't see it. I probably wasn't until the 90s that I saw this on like, somebody's couch, for all I know.
Are you done telling this story? Because I don't even remember how this ends. I believe the good guys win.
Yeah, they blew up Emilio Lizardo's spaceship, and he says, Buckaroo Banzai, I'll see you in hell. And then he blows up.
He morphs into Schwarzenegger right before he turns into power.
He does. That's my crazy Italian accent.
But my question, okay, first of all, that is in no way Italian.
But I never claimed to be. Go ahead.
Question.
Lay it on me.
Perhaps you remember a little film called Big Trouble in Little China.
Know nothing about it.
Shut up. What year did that come out?
That came out like 3 years later. 2 or 3 years later. Yeah.
Would you say that is a good movie?
I love Big Trouble in Little China.
I also love Big Trouble in Little China. At first I was like, what is this? But it is hysterical hijinks.
Do you want me to freak you out?
Unlike Buckaroo.
Do you want me to freak you out?
Oh, shit. Is it the same writer?
You're very close. The director of Buckaroo Banzai, W.D. Richter, wrote the first draft of Big Trouble in Little China.
The one they threw in the trash?
The one they threw in the trash.
Well, they had something going for them.
Threw that in the bushes.
Wiped me bum with it, and we started fresh again.
That's how they do it. I have to say, there was one other scene I've gotta mention. When Buckaroo's being chased through the forest by the evil Lectroids, he's calling for help. And a guy, like there's a father and son at a gas station who are like, I guess, part-time members of they call them the Blue Blazer Irregulars. And for some reason, they're like selling crazy like velvet sofas at the gas station. You got to watch it. It's a bizarre scene where they're selling these like bright red, like Rick James would own these sofas. That's
I could just see his
from the parking lot of the gas station. They're like, oh damn, we got to go help Buckaroo. It is the.
That's right. Kids are monitoring Buckaroo. It is totally trying to be one of these old Buck Rogers serials.
Absolutely.
but not so successful. I will tell you the best scene is the end credits.
Oh, right. Yes. What happens? They play the Buckaroo by theme song. And
which I actually love. Why didn't their other music sound like that?
If only. And then they do kind of a choreographed walking scene.
Where everybody starts joining
them. Yeah. Yes. All the people show up. John Parker, Rawhide's back. He's fine, I guess. Just a flesh wound. They're all just walking along. Perfect Tommy's outfit changes about 3 times over the course of this thing.
Fantastic.
He's
perfect.
And what's funny is they didn't actually have the music at that time. So do you know what song they were actually walking to?
Was it Rick James?
It was not Rick James. It was Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. So there you go.
All right.
Mark it down.
I do. That's one of my guilty pleasures is a little Billy Joel. But I'm watching this, and I was like, I'm digging this, but I've seen this. I've totally heard that end credit music before.
Yeah.
And yet the rest of the movie is lost on me. And I've heard the name Yo-Yo Dime before.
Yep.
The other thing is, I knew I'd seen a version of that end credit. It smelled like Wes Anderson to me. So I managed to track down. It's one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies, The Life Aquatic. At the very end,
right.
Instead of this music, they're doing to Bowie's Queen Bitch, and that's how they do it. So it is our favorite Bill Murray cruising down, and then Willem Dafoe joins in, and the rest of the crew.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum again.
There you go. There's the connection.
That's the connection. And apparently, it's not just my brother Kevin that worships the altar of the Banzai, because there's all these men of a certain age in Hollywood are always trying to sneak in a big boutte comment here or this there or that there. I found a whole website, which now I forgot to write down, but it was like, this was mentioned here, this was mentioned here. So there's a whole, I don't know, subclass of people that love this movie.
Oh, no question. Let's go hit some behind the scenes if we can.
We're not going to talk about how he changed glasses like Sally Jesse Raphael.
Well, what's funny is that was a big bone of contention. The writer and the director were like, we're putting these bright red Sally Jesse Raphael frames on Buckaroo throughout half the movie. And the studio executive producers were like, if you do, I'm going to quit. No hero on any movie I'm involved with is going to be wearing Sally Jesse Raphael glasses. So it was a big bone of contention. He did not quit. They eventually worked it out.
Of course not. That's a ridiculous thing.
He doesn't wear it the whole movie. He only wears the one scene where he's in front of doing a press conference.
They change constantly by Perfect Tommy suits. They're blue. They're white. It's all 80s.
It's very, very 80s. If you watch the credits, they go, Buckaroo Banzai will return in Buckaroo Banzai Against the World Crime League. Because they were so convinced that this would be a hit that they were ready to roll with the sequel. It was obviously a huge flop, huge failure, obviously. which is it's shocking. Frankly, it is shocking. So the sequel was never made.
Shocking. I'm shocked. It's shocking. How about that?
There you go. However, in the early aughts, a number of comic books came out where it kind of continued the story, and about 5 years ago, Kevin Smith was going to be the showrunner of a Buckaroo Banzai TV series.
All right,
and it fell apart because the legality
he wanted to be Buckaroo Banzai.
It was going to star Kevin Smith as Buckaroo. No, absolutely not. Hell no. But the issue is that who owns the rights to the film are
the
still hotly debated. We don't know if it's a studio. We don't know if it's the directors or the original writer.
Was it a comic or a graphic novel beforehand?
No.
Oh, I would assume it was the studio.
But that's the issue. I think the studio had control of it. and Kevin Smith was ready to go forward, but then he found out that the original creative team behind it were kind of like, hell no, we're not involved in this. So then he voluntarily stepped out of it, and that kind of killed it.
It was all about the lolly.
Basically, it was basically like he had such respect for the original creative team that he wasn't going to go forward without their blessing, and they didn't give it. So
all right,
that was the kiss of death. But
I guess the world is a poorer place because of that.
Hey. Oh God, it's basically, with this movie, they do all the things that you shouldn't do. Essentially, it's like,
I believe that.
It's based on some level. It's like, imagine Marvel Studios just said, you know, we're not gonna make any of these other movies. We're just gonna jump right to Avengers Endgame. No one would have any idea what was going on. You'd have no idea who these characters are. You would have no idea what the significance of anything was.
I'm sure they were laughing to themselves, thinking, "Isn't that great?"
Oh, I think they think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think these guys thought
we're entertaining each other.
You're right. It's like Andy Kaufman was doing this. It's basically, I think this is so hilarious.
I never thought Andy Kaufman was funny.
I didn't either. But that's kind of the idea, where it's like bizarre little things that you're supposed to look at and go, what? What does that mean? I'm shocked you don't love this, because you're like a David Lynch kind of person, where it's bizarro, random things that don't mean anything, and you sit back and laugh.
David, okay, first of all, let's deep dive this.
I'd rather not.
David Lynch is not exactly a knee slapper. It's not just random and we all sit around and laugh and
please
erase our head.
You watch Blue Velvet and laugh and laugh and laugh.
David Lynch is disturbing. It is,
but it's disturbing.
Like, you're so crazy, David Lynch.
No.
You make me laugh and laugh.
That he's disturbing in a totally unintelligible way. It's like nothing. If you watch Eraserhead,
I don't
you have
know.
no idea.
I've seen Eraserhead 100 times and I have no idea what's going on.
And you love it. And you love it.
Oh no, I could never watch that again. It makes me want to throw up a little bit. Those are college movies.
Yeah. We will not be doing that, by the way.
But if David Lynch would like me to do some work for him, David, I'm available.
In case he wants to make Dune 2.
No nudity, you know, I have another job.
This is all too much information. Anything else? Oh, Lord. There's one line that made me laugh where they're describing Emilio Lizardo, and Perfect Tommy goes, isn't he that guy from TV? And Buckaroo goes, no, you're thinking of Mr. Wizard. And then Rito goes like, Emilio Lizardo is a certified genius. And he's like, so is Mr. Wizard.
I did see that. I do remember Mr. Wizard, actually.
Absolutely.
And he was on TV too.
Don Herbert. He was great.
There we go.
So there you go. Good times. Ad by all. Anything else before we abandon ship on old Buckaroo Banzai?
I just want to know if our fans are going to listen to this and go, okay, boomer.
Oh, no question. No, I mean,
we're tragedy.
It's total tragedy. Here's the thing. Here's my attitude. If you go into this just being like, I'm just going to let it wash over me and all of its craziness, you may find it enjoyable. That's how I enjoy it. I enjoy it like I enjoy Army of Darkness and those kind of movies.
No, Army of Darkness is genius compared to this.
Well, they're just... Well,
but he's yelling at them to get her to like savage hands off of me.
That was just like pillow talk, baby.
That was hysterical hijinks.
So
now, come on, man! Don't insult my Army of Darkness.
I'm just saying it's meant to be kind of light and fun because it's kind of nonsensical. Yes.
Tell the truth. You'd had a couple of Zimas the first time you watched that. Is that really what's happened?
No, that is not what's happened.
You watched it. Stone cold sobers with a couple of your homies watching this.
I think this is hilarious. I'm not going to talk about my mental state or my level of intoxication, but I did watch it last night, and
so
I enjoyed
there was
it.
a level. We're just not going to discuss it.
We're just not going to discuss
it.
I'm not going there. Okay?
Was it a bar? It may have been a Bartles and James, but it was probably a Zima or two.
Look, Clancy Brown, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Weller, John Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd. The list goes on and on. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on this.
Maybe it's a Christopher Lloyd's fault since he did work with Andy Kaufman.
Anything's possible. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you go to our page on Facebook at the podcast that wouldn't die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, etc., etc. And Aaron, you also have your own Twitter account.
The Cult of Aaron. And I just wanted to say,
yes,
this was a painful movie to watch.
That
Not as painful as The Shadow of the Vampire.
Or The Hunger?
Oh no, the hunger, the hunger. We're deep diving the 80s. I don't know if you see follow the thread here. The hunger was beautiful, and David Bowie. You didn't even appreciate watching Catherine Deneuve. She looked fan-frickin-tastic.
They're very attractive people. So there we go.
I'll just watch David Bowie. I'll watch him eat some like his breakfast. I don't know.
Well, you're not watching him do much of anything these days, but thank you very much. Rest in peace, David Bowie.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Thank you very much, and be well.
Bye.